So I am back at my folks' house helping my mum with funeral arrangements following the death of my stepdad recently, and we are squeezing in some decluttering. So I am actually working from home from my folks' house, but it's the summer holidays at the moment, and work for me has definitely slowed down a little bit because a lot of my clients are off taking holidays, especially those with kids, which means that I don't have as many client calls as I normally do, which is super useful for me because I can basically do the bare minimum, keep things ticking over, replying to emails, helping some colleagues with a few bits and pieces, but essentially just keeping things ticking along, and then be there for my mum, accompany her to appointments and all that stuff, and squeeze in a bit of decluttering too. So it is way too early for my mum to make any decisions about what she wants to do in terms of the house that she shared with my stepdad, with where she is living, etc. But we have known for some time that she needed to declutter. And if you've been following me for a while, you'll have seen that I've already done several different mini declutters in my folks' house. So this is just a continuation of that project. We are absolutely 100% not decluttering my stepdad's stuff. We are not decluttering anything emotional. We are starting out today. We are just concentrating on areas of the kitchen because I figured that was pretty safe for us to declutter. Saying that, I did find a card from my stepdad to my mum, which we made a quick decision about, which is putting it somewhere with other kind of objects to look at another day. But otherwise, we're pretty safe when it comes to kitchen stuff and not having too much kind of emotional stuff to tidy up here. But my mum will make decisions at a later date about what she wants to do in terms of location. It's been kind of tough for her in the kind of few months leading up to my stepdad's passing. He had known that his health in general was declining. He was 81 when he passed. And he had been saying for the last few months, I don't have long left. We absolutely, didn't expect him, to go with a stroke necessarily. We were kind of hoping, because I think this is the way we'd all want to go, we just go to sleep one day and we don't wake up. But unfortunately that wasn't the case, and he did have a stroke, and it was, anyway, we won't go into it. But he knew he didn't have long left, and he wanted my mum to move, or wanted them to move, and he kept saying want to move closer, to me, to my family, because my sister lives in Manchester, which is a much longer kind of trip away from where my mum is, whereas I am I'm an Essex girl. I'm still in Essex, and we still have family, my mum's brother and sister that still live in Essex, so it would make more sense for her to be there. But it's a big decision. My mum has a beautiful house. My folks have a beautiful house, and they spent a lot of time getting it looking as it is. And it's in a beautiful village. My mum has she doesn't have loads of friends, but she has a couple of really good friends where she is. And I strongly believe that you only need a couple of really good friends. So it's very hard to think about, having to downsize, having to make compromises in terms of the size of building, size of garden, rural location, moving away from friends. All of that is super big decisions. So I've encouraged my mum not to make those decisions yet. I can't get my words out. Not to make those decisions, and just spend some time just being, we're just 2 weeks from my stepdad passing. She just needs to spend that time going through the motions of grief, and at a much later date she can think about what she wants to do. She's very torn because at the moment she very much feels like she wants to stay in the house for a few years, but then also she's feeling quite lonely, which is totally normal and understandable. But what we both know she really needs to do is start to declutter the house. That is regardless of whether she stays for 5 to 10 years or whether she decides to move in a year or two. We need to declutter the house. There is far too much stuff, and I think this is a tricky part of having a house that does have a lot of storage, as my mum's house does. It's really weird saying my mum's house, but it's tricky when you've got the space to store things, and you have a tendency just to hold on to things just in case. So tackling some cupboards here, and I basically started by just putting everything out so I could get a good look at things. Then I gave them the shelves a wipe down and then put back in those items that we absolutely 100% knew that we would be keeping. Then when it came to Tupperware, I just sorted that out in terms of what had lids and what didn't, so that we could easily decide, like, if it doesn't have a lid, it's going. And then if it's a good box and it's got a lid, it can stay. And then we went through the other items. So you saw my mum sat down and then I basically held things up. Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you want this? Do you want that? Do you use this? Do you not use that? And we had a couple of debates about a few things, but otherwise it was essentially pretty straightforward. Putting things back in the general location that they had been, so that the crockery is on the top shelf because that's where it always was, so my mum will know where she's going for it if she needs it. And I should say that the kind of day-to-day crockery is actually on the other side of the kitchen island, and this is overspill stuff when we're entertaining, it's Christmas or whatever, we have a lot of people. And then we had like some mixing bowls my mum loved, but she said she didn't use very much because they are heavy and they were toward the back of the cupboard. So I made a decision to move those forward so they are much more accessible now. And then I will show you, like at the very end of the video, everything that we cleared and how that cupboard was looking at the end. So this particular basket in the kitchen island, which has like a bunch of utensils in it, has been bugging me personally for a while. Like, I don't think it's bugged my mum at all. And when I said I wanted to tackle this next, she said, I really don't think that there will be anything in that you'll be able to get rid of, Nat. And boy, did I prove her wrong. And I know I would. So we found, I think, about 6 bottle openers. And my mum uses one. We kept a spare. But you know, things like that, there was just quite a lot of them. There were a few things that were similar. My mum knew what absolutely everything was bar one thing. There was like a plastic piece of equipment that neither of us could work out. So if we can't work out what it was, then it absolutely has to go. But then there were plenty of things that I held up, like, what is this? Oh, that gets the skin off garlic bulbs. Okay, so you want to keep it? No, I never use it. Oh, okay. So we'll get rid of that then. And like 5 or 6 wooden spoons, like so many wooden spoons. But, you know, we could put some back in circulation. We got rid of some things from cupboards, and like, you know, so that we could put, you know, newer things in, and had a really good sort through and tidy here. Here's all the wooden spoons. My mum's quite artsy. She's always been like into crafting and painting. And some of these wooden spoons, I think she actually got as like craft projects to paint them. So we put a couple of them into her craft cupboard. So she can do that if she has some time in the coming months. She can sit down and do, you know, paint one. And then others we put back into like the main kind of cooking drawer. We got rid of some. They were a bit more worn out. This particular potato masher, it turned out to be my grandma, so my mum's mum's. And there were quite a few things like this kitchen-wise in the house. And I do love that because, like, when I look at my kitchen, I also have some things that were my grandma's or were my mum's. And I love that I have them and I use them. And when I use them, I do think of my mum. Or my mum's mum actually passed away when I was very young, I think I was 3. So I don't have any actual memories of her, but she's talked about a lot. I know she was very into her baking and cooking. So it, you know, brings me joy to use things in the house that belong to her, especially because I don't have the memories with her. I didn't have that kind of, having that connection after she passed was really important to me. So I think if we're going to be a brutal minimalist, we would get rid of these things because we're not actually like necessarily using them. But I think there is merit in keeping things where it has that, you know, evokes those really strong, happy memories. My mum, I should say, did part with the potato masher, and I'm very proud of her for that, because the potato masher, you know, yes, it was her mum's, but she didn't look at it very often, didn't really bring those memories. But there were other things that we'll get to in a minute, which I'll show you, which, you know, really did hold those memories. And I love that. And I think, you know, wholeheartedly support keeping things like that where they're sentimental, but that you have that kind of, you know, strong link in on a daily basis. But the potato masher is going to go to a new home. So then the last thing that we tackled was this corner cupboard here. And this was just had a real mishmash of things. And my mum started by saying that she felt like there needed to be another shelf in here. So like move this shelf up and put a second shelf in. And I was like, whoa, hold on there. Let's firstly just have a look and see what we've got. And then we can ascertain whether we need another shelf, because I think so often we go into projects and we think, I need new storage baskets, I need more shelves, I need more this, that and the other, and it will really help me solve this issue. So spoiler, it absolutely won't.
These?
They were my mother's.
Oh.
Whoops.
Oh my goodness. Let's slice your fingers off those. Oh my god. If
Well,
you
it is.
frisbeed that, you could decapitate someone.
I'm not even sure that was new to her. That could be her mother's. You know, it could be my grandmother's.
So these cake tins that were my grandma's or my great grandma's, who knows, my mum has held on to all these years. I'm a big fan of like a loose bottomed cake tin, very handy, but oh my goodness, these were not up to like current standards. They were so sharp on the edges, it was unreal. So my mum is not using these. They are definitely not fit for use. They're a little bit rusty, very much not safe. Like you would slice your fingers open on those. Absolutely not. But so my mum has had them all this time. They sit at the bottom of the cupboard and the colander sits in the top of them. So my mum said she uses the colander all the time, like almost every day. So whenever she's reaching for the colander, she sees the cake tins and they make her think of her mum. And I love that. I like, they're not taking up too much space. They are providing a happy memory. And I hope that kind of one day my kids might have something like that in the house that makes them think of me. And I think like for a lot of us, you know, if we're into baking or cooking, those are kind of memories that you pass down to your children. Like I love baking. I have also lots of memories of my mum baking with me as a kid. So I love that. Here are the things we got rid of. Look how much better that cupboard is looking after we had that declutter. So much more accessible. Here's everything we got rid of from the utensil basket that my mum said she was sure we wouldn't get rid of anything. And I also did get rid of those blue gloves as well. So really happy with that little haul. And then here's what we got rid of from the corner cupboard, but it's just a small cupboard. So I'm really proud of my mum